Thank you for clicking on the video. Welcome back to the channel. So we've got a new show. This is a new show. And I'm enjoying it. Right up my alley. This is fulfilling my American Horror Story fix. So yeah, this is of course a Ryan Murphy production, and so we already know what it's going to give just off that, just knowing that he's a part of it, just knowing he has his hand in it. I already knew that it was going to be something that I was going to enjoy. It has its moments, but we're here. So we're here for Grotesquerie season 1. I'm gonna do episodes 1 and 2 because they dropped when it premiered. They premiered, giving us 2 episodes. So let's get into it. Detective Niecy Nash, her character is a detective. Her name is Lois. She wakes up like she's dreaming about something, but she wakes up to a call about a case. An entire family was murdered. And as soon as she gets to the scene, of course, all the cops are distraught, folks throwing up, all of them. Everybody's just completely taken aback by the crime scene. One of them tells her, listen, just hand it over to the feds. You don't want to go in there. You don't want to deal with this. Just hand it over to the feds. He thinks that it's a hate crime. The police outside throwing up. Like I said, she goes in to investigate. It's a very grotesque and brutal scene. There's a family of 5. The mother and her children are like tied up and sitting at a kitchen table. There's the father is on the floor. He's been beheaded, and some of his organs have been removed and all of that. It was pretty bad. And then something was cooking on the stove, and I'm gonna just assume that it was a small child. Anyway, on her drive home, she encounters this man like in the middle of the street. This homeless man. He threatening her, talking about the end is near, all that. It's just what it gives. It's as if she just drove through Skid Row or something. She gets home. She cooking dinner. She's home with her daughter. Her daughter is obviously dealing with her own issues. Her daughter's very smart though. She's very intelligent. She has a lot going on up there, but like I said, she's dealing with, I don't want to say it's an eating disorder but she overeats. Like, she's gluttonous. She overeats. It's really bad. It's like really bad. And Lois, she has a drinking problem. She's a drunk. It's all bad. It's all bad. Anyway, she's at the hospital and she's standing outside her husband's room. Her husband is in the hospital. He's been on the ventilator for 20 days. It's not looking good. His prognosis is pretty bleak. And so she's going to have to make a decision at some point. The nurse is telling her that she needs to fight for her man. And this nurse she's something else. She's something else. But anyway, she says she insists, you need to go in there and you need to talk to him and you need to sit with him and you just sit over there on your phone, like chastising her. Like she's not being the doting wife that this lady thinks she should be. Talking about she don't feel it in his spirit. Girl. I mean, she's going on and on. Like lusting after this man. Talking about it just gets her. She gets a little shiver in her quiver. Just thinking about how brilliant he is. His mind and all of this. Ma'am, you doing all right? Crazy tale. Anyway, Lois, she is looking over the case. Well, going over the case with the task force. And she feels like she's seen this type of thing before. She gets interrupted by this nun who is also a reporter. And this nun loves to report on all things true crime, all the macabre, all of that. She's here for that. she wants to talk privately. Her name is Sister Megan. She wants to talk privately. So they go in the little break room and they chat. She's interested in the case. She's really only interested in the gruesome and the gore and all of that. Because she feels like it's going to just draw in more readers anyway. And maybe it'll get some butts in the seats at the church. She's been doing a lot of stories on cults and ritualistic killings and things of that nature. And so she thinks that the family that was killed, their last name was the Burnside, something like that. But she feels like their murder was a ritual. The family's priest, because they're Catholic, so the family's priest, she knows him. He's a friend of hers. Lois, she want to talk to him. She said, I want to talk to him then. Since you know him, I need to talk to him. She shares a few details of the case with her. 5 people are deceased. And while she's explaining, what the crime scene looked like, we're seeing what happened in real time. Miss Burnside and her children, they were tied up with some sort of wire. Mr. Burnside she said he was seasoned to perfection with salt and pepper, thyme, garlic powder, onion powder, you name it. He was then placed in the oven on 400 degrees, served with carrots on the side. His cheeks thinly sliced, and served along, with his other organs and some sort of orange, some sort of sauce. I said, not a gourmet meal with the people's body parts. The family did eat some of it, so whoever this is, they made the family consume the father. And then there's a matter of what was boiling on the pot. We still don't get no definitive, what it was. But she's like, listen, just think about the worst thing that you could possibly think of being in that pot. And that's what you got. The mother and the children died of heart failure. So watching this and seeing this happen, the trauma of it all stopped their hearts. The shock. So that's that scaring somebody to death. That's what that is. A neighbor reported hearing loud chamber music, and the nun gonna throw out Mozart, and she knew exactly what song it was, and Lois is like, know about all of that. She pulled her drawer open and put her hand on her gun just in case she got to pull it and use it. Cause girl, how you know that? I ain't told you those. I ain't tell you all that. And you know pertinent details. Some details that have not been shared to the press or anybody. So how you know what song was being played? I don't trust this. It's something about this nun, and there's something about the priest that we meet in episode 2. It's something about both of them that I just don't trust. But anyway, she gonna say it's logic. Is it? Lois, she closes her desk. It is what it is. But she adds that there was some liquid, this strange liquid that was found at the crime scene. They can't quite figure out what it is. And she's like, maybe you can help me figure that out. She says that the smell changes. It went from citrus to amber, then rotting flesh to like a burning smell, like acrid. And the nurse was like, okay, that could be from burning hair. The keratin in the hair, that might be what you smell. We're gonna keep our eye on Megan. Anyway, there we see these two crackheads. They watching TV. They high as hell. There's a ring at the door. One of them gets up to answer the door. And the person who's knocking, they are knocking and ringing incessantly. Like, they just will not stop ringing this bell. Next thing we see is Lois and the folks down to the apartment. It's a crime scene now. And she clears everyone out so that she can get a closer look. These people are cut in half. There's one person that's like, his body is still intact, but he too is like tacked to the wall. It's like they're nailed to all over, like nailed on a blank empty wall, a torso here, the bottom portion here. But there's no blood. Organs intact, like intestines hanging out a little bit. No blood. Where's the blood? Where's the blood? That dark liquidy substance is also on the scene again. Sister Megan, she pop up out of nowhere. I don't even know, like, did we call her? Anyway, she's there. She pops up out of nowhere, adding her 2 cents, and she takes her outside, and she's like, girl, why are you, because you look guilty at this point. Now you look guilty. Now you really look guilty. Lois tell her, listen, you can go inside, take some notes, but don't touch nothing. Don't touch nothing. Go in there, take your notes. That's it. Lois, she goes to sit with her husband. Again, she has a drinking problem. It's obvious because every 5 minutes she... But see, it's different because she ain't got no wine. She got hard liquors in her flask. But she got a drinking problem. She got that flask everywhere. Everywhere she goes. She shares, that her daughter had eaten a dozen Tostitos. And she did. 2 dozen, I think she said. 2 dozen Tostitos. She's been overeating since he's been in the hospital. It's just, she's spiraling. She was already overeating before, but now it's real bad. She shares that, she remembers what the nurse was saying. And so she gets in bed with him, and she knows that the nurse is watching because she's also being recorded. But she gets in bed with him, and, they have a sweet moment. They go down memory lane, and, she shares that she needs him now more than ever. This case that she has is very dark. Something is happening. Something is afoot. She gets home, and then she hears what sounds like something. It sounds like something like was rolling on the floor. Somebody was rolling something on the floor. She pulled out her gun, of course, and walked around the house, check the scene. Then we see this figure, this shadowy figure, man in a hat. He's like scurrying away from the house. He was in the house, but he gets to scurrying outside. She pulled out her gun and starts shooting, at whoever or whatever this is getting away. Her daughter runs outside like, why are you shooting your gun? She ain't seen none of it. Ain't heard nothing. Almost like this was some type of hallucination. And see, the drinking does not help because her mind is absolutely cloudy. Sister Megan and Lois, they meet up. They're going to go over their notes. And Lois, she's like, I don't want this case. But I can't give it over to anybody else because she knows that it's a lot deeper than what meets the eye. They're in this together. They're going to figure this out together. The chemical, the stuff, the substance, she got that report back, the chemical report back. Large concentrations of sulfuric dioxide. And as soon as she says sulfur, that's something from hell. That it's obvious we're dealing with the supernatural here, and some type of portal has been opened. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that. But anyway, the lady said it's brimstone. Somebody's messing with her, and we're gonna figure that out. Somebody's a psychopath. Okay, let's move on to episode 2. Lois, we see a little backstory with she and her husband. They're having a serious conversation with their daughter about her weight. She's resistant, of course, but listen, girl, you need some type of professional intervention. While they're talking, Lois in there drinking down. They all sit down and have dinner. Lois's husband can see how she's spiraling too, with the drinking and everything. Both of the women in his life need rehab. And she gonna say, and maybe we can get some family rehab for the food, for the booze, for the sex. Oh yeah, I know about your little affair. And he tried to play coy, like he didn't know what she was talking about, like you been drinking too much. She's like, oh no, I'm a whole detective. Do you not think I had you followed? I had you followed. I know about the hotels you've been slipping and dipping in and out of, and so honestly, you might as well get on out. It's just time to get the fuck out. The shit, cause he talking about maybe we can get the family. We got to see how we can keep this family together. The ship has sailed. Get the fuck out. thank you. Anyway, he says, I still love you sometimes. I still love you sometimes. And she says, and sometimes I pray that I'm going to get a phone call that you're deceased. I said, well, damn. You know, you going to wish death on them? Anyway, we back in real time. And her husband is on his deathbed. So, yeah, because he told her she was going to regret that. You're going to regret that. And, yeah, she do. She shouldn't have said that because now look at her. Now look at you. Looking cheap. She regrets everything. But anyway, she's sitting outside the room crying. Here come the nurse. Here she come with her red hair. Strolling up, chastising her for crying out. Talking about, go give those tears to him. Cry to him. What? Lady, leave me alone. Lois, she get up and she take her earrings off. And the lady's like, well, what's this? And she's like, listen, girl, maybe I got to just whoop your ass because you got a habit of disrespecting me. And today it's going to have to stop. So, yeah, I'm going to just have to beat your ass. Don't even worry about it, girl. Hold on. That lady say, you put your hands on me. Sure enough, the security going to come out here and break your hands. They going to break them. So, you might not want to even think about doing nothing like that. Because they on ready. And sure enough, the security guards was down at the end of the hallway. Ready to do whatever it is nurse lady wants them to do. Girl, you lucky. You lucky. Because Lois was about to get on that ass. She is like in this waiting room area while she's waiting. And this was a weird moment, but she was in this waiting room area. And while she's waiting, there's this family just sitting in there and they're just like staring at her. And just staring at her. Anyway, because the lady tell her, why don't you go cool off and have some coffee? So she did. And when she gets back, sis in there, in the throes. I said, what's she doing? Talking about she giving him a sponge bath. She was doing way more than that. She was in there sexually assaulting that man. Giving him a whole hand job. And he unconscious. That lady crazy. You know, Lois going there and confronts her. Of course, the lady gonna try to deny it. And she like, nah, you lying, bitch. You wasn't giving him no bath. She's a deviant. Something is wrong with that lady. The lady tried to gaslight, manipulate. No, bitch. No. Don't call her psychotic. Talking about maybe we have to have her committed. Threatening to, have her committed, basically. Like she's just delusional and making it all up. Nobody's going to believe her. Anyway, Lois, girl, take your husband and go. Get your husband out from around there and go. She's up late drinking, Lois, and she's listening to classical music loud as fuck. It's her husband's his favorite song. Her daughter comes in and turns it off. Goes in the kitchen, comes out with a whole ham. Proceeds to cut little pieces off and dip it in her. I don't know what's that, Grey Poupon. She dipping it in something and just having a time eating a whole ham. The whole entire ham. And Lois ain't no better because she's sitting there drinking, of course. She got the bottle right there. She drinking. They need some help. They really do. Lois talking about she drinks to envision. She say things are a lot clearer after she's had a few drinks. Her daughter's like, yeah, and that's how I feel about food. Both of y'all need to sit down somewhere. Y'all need to go talk to the lady. Both of y'all. And just like the nun, the daughter feels like this killer is taunting her. She's going to go, look into the university where the man worked or something like that. Maybe there's some type of disgruntled student somewhere. She's going to try to figure it out. She's trying to find some type of angle. Back at the precinct, she and the task force, they looking over the evidence, leaving no stone unturned. Lois, she ends up taking a trip to the convent to meet with Sister Megan. She shares with her theory about, the university being the connection. Sister Megan disagrees. She thinks that, they're barking up the wrong tree. Megan takes her to her own little evidence board that she's been working on. She's on the case as well. She doesn't think that they were killed by somebody that they knew. Maybe they were stalked, but she feels like this is a complete stranger, not anybody that they knew. So not a student, not a professor. She feels like this is a calling card, to like this killer wants to live in an apocalyptic reality. This is somebody completely deranged. The killer's preaching in a way, he sees himself as God. Megan, the next thing we see, she's in church, and we see the priest up giving the word or whatever, and after church, he and Megan, they go have lunch because they sweet on one another, and this is when I'm feeling like something is up with this priest. I don't know about him, but something is up with him. He says that the attendance is up, since these articles have started to circulate, so he's happy about her writing about what's going on. He wants her to speak to the parishioners, and she's more than happy to, but she said after she solved the case, she says she can smell him. The priest thinks that the killer is a Satanist, and the priest is also a true crime fanatic. Both of them just have a time comparing notes on this serial killer and that serial killer. His favorite serial killer is Ed Gein, and hers was some nun that killed all these people in her convent. But both of them have a strange obsession with true crime and murder and death and serial killers and all of that. I'm feeling like the killer might be the priests. Something about him, I don't know. Because then the next thing we see, he in his room rubbing one out, wearing ashless chaps. And after doing that, now he's gonna punish himself with the cat of nine tails. He got the whip that they beat Jesus with. The one that at impact, it's gonna rip skin off of or rip flesh from whatever it is. And he doing that to himself, hitting himself in the back with it because he done masturbated. He's already very radical, and so it just leaves me to believe that he want to live in this apocalyptic reality, preaching in a sense. Anyway, Sister Megan, she called Lois because she says she got an angle. Satanism, it's impossible to miss. Lois tells her, to put a pause on writing about anything. We done found some blood outside on the curb, and they got a hit for a guy named Sullivan. He was an organ harvester, and so he used to snatch up immigrant children and, harvest their organs. So he was in prison for that, but he got out a few months ago. And he's staying with his mother. So don't write the story yet. We're going to go over there and see. We're going to go over there and talk to him. They pull up to the people's house. And, they're going inside. All the rooms are clear until they get to the basement. Of course, the people are already running outside throwing up. That man been dead. There are two bodies posed. One lady, like, she kind of looked like Sister Mary or something. And she's posed, and he's, like, in a very compromising position. But this is staged. Sullivan, his blood and DNA was left at the trap house killings. So the killer is again playing a game, and he got them right where he wants them. He had been dead for weeks. He was the first one. He was the first murder, not the family. Lois, I don't know if she's having a hallucination or what, but there's a record playing. The police are at the scene, and everybody's just staring at her. Then the music takes like this dark turn, and everybody then just snaps out of it, and now we're processing the crime scene. They're taking Sullivan's mother out, and she's like talking to Lois. Like, I don't know whether she was dead the whole time or this is again an hallucination, but I don't know. It's weird. It was very strange. This lady was just mouthing off. She was just talking because she just looked up and was like, "Wake up!" I'm like, "Is she dreaming? Is this a dream right now? What is happening here?" Anyway, the killer left a note with their name, Grotesquerie. And it says that I belong to those who have troubled the sleep of the world. Whatever that means. May all your dreams come true. Anyway, Megan, she wants the pictures. You know, she wants to see the pictures and everything. So she knows which direction to go in. She says that there's a philosophy behind all of this. She's just trying to figure it out. If we unlock this dream that Lois had, then we're gonna basically solve the crime. And while they were talking, to see this one time, Lois felt like she needed to be a little clear-headed. She needed to be sober because she felt like the drink is the reason for the hallucinations, and probably so. But Megan ordered her a alcoholic beverage too while they was at the restaurant. I said, "Aren't you a nun?" She's very unconventional. Okay, very unconventional. Lois, she riding around, and she has this box that she found at the crime scene. It has all these symbols on it or whatever, but she's riding around with it. She's stopped by the homeless man at the light, and she, you know, reach in her purse and give him a little cash, and you know, he leaves smiling or whatever. When she gets home, she starts playing that loud jazz again. Her daughter sitting in the dark. I don't know whether she was waiting on her or what, but she was just sitting in the dark, and Lois asked her if she can help her figure out how to get inside that little box. Her daughter say there's no opening to it. I don't see how we're gonna get it open. It's not functional. Lois kind of like sits down, you know, with her drink, with the music playing or whatever, and then it starts to skip. The record starts to skip, and then it does that like somebody took the needle off of it real fast. And it kind of wakes her up, jolts her out of her sleep. And she hears, this noise, kind of walks around, but anyway, she just ends up going to bed. She's awoken the next day, you know, by another phone call. There's been, you know, it's some more bodies or whatever. And she gets there, it's at a church, crime scene is at a church, and everybody's just standing there. Again, just staring. Just staring. Like everybody's just standing there in shock. This time, these bodies were found staged like the Last Supper. And the stand-in for Jesus was that homeless guy that she had just given money to. And the rest of the people were the homeless people on the block too. It's just... Megan, of course, Megan gets there, of course, because she's always there. But she ain't gonna listen. At this point, all Lois want to do is go get something to drink. She said, "I'm going home and I'm going to get drunk. That's what I'm going to do. Going to get me a drink. Thank you very much. Bye." She tip on out, and everybody just standing there still in complete shock. The people were shook. They really were. And that's where we end. That's where we end on episode 2. Let me know how you guys like it, if you have tuned in. If not, take a gander, get into her. If you like Ryan Murphy, American Horror Story, namely American Horror Story, because this is very reminiscent of that. So yeah, get into her. Let me get off here because I have 2 more reviews to do. So let's get to her. Anyway, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's Call Me Busby, and I'll chat with you later. Peace and light.